What's going on, you guys? PB back with you. Man, do I apologize. I feel horrible. We had full Wi-Fi crash, had to reboot and reset the whole system, and had a wire fry on the mixer that's here with me. And luckily, I had a different one, a backup one on hand. So I'm seeing all the indicators. It looks like we have sound now. If anybody is hearing me, and can confirm that you're hearing the sound, that would be great. I'd appreciate it. Just hit the comment button. All right, so the live streak continues. There's just so much going on that I have such opinions on that it's like there's meltdown going on, and I just think people are misplaced in some of their thought process, and I see everybody coming in now, so hopefully everybody can hear me. Somebody drop a comment and just tell me, confirm that you see or that you hear audio correctly after we had our crash about an hour ago. Just somebody hit it in the comment section. I appreciate it. Thank you. So there's so much going on. The Jonathan Gannon situation, $100,000 fine from the Arizona Cardinals. I was on with Jason Whitlock on Monday to discuss the fumbling before the end zone, and he brought me on to discuss Dylan Gabriel. So both of those are relative to what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to play the clip of what I shared with Jason in terms of the fumble and specifically the Gannon incident. I'll play that clip, but I didn't explain to him really the why behind why I felt just wasn't the time to do it. So I'm going to do that here with you. Him and I disagree on it. Got a lot of respect for Jason and his opinion. So I'll share that. Sean Salisbury, I know, disagrees with me, and there's a lot out there that disagree that say, "Oh, I've heard. Oh, well, the football player has padding on, and he's able to take that type of hit." I'm going to explain to you why my feelings, my opinion on why that has nothing at all to do with it. We're also going to talk about Shedeur, the never-ending drama and reality show of Shedeur Sanders and his father. It's just never going to go away. I mean, it's just the Cleveland Browns started this whole thing. The media exacerbated it. The Sanders exacerbated it. And it's people like me that just continue to talk about it. But for me, for those of you who don't know, well, actually, let me just set this up. Before I get into that part, let me just tell you this, a little bit about me, guys, so that you understand context behind what it is I'm going to say. So I'm an old school guy. I'm 53 years old. I was brought up by strict parents. My mom was 100% Italian. Not an abusive relationship of any kind, but I grew up, the hard way. I grew up, and if I made a mistake, or I shouldn't say if I made a mistake, if it was a lie or if I got in trouble or did something I wasn't supposed to do, the wood spoon came out. Okay, guys, remember the wooden spoons? You don't see them too much anymore. The wooden spoons, must have had, I don't know, a couple dozen at least broken over my arms. And then it, turned to the steel spoon. And then the steel spoon would bend. And then you could bend it. She would bend it back. And then again, the heels of the shoes, the backhand, with the rings on the finger. I mean, that's how I grew up, and that was a form of discipline. Again, I wasn't in an abusive household or anything like that. I don't misconstrue or misunderstand what I'm saying. The era that I grew up, born in 72, and the era now is completely different. How folks raise their parents, I'm not going to tell anybody how to raise their parents, obviously. It's different now. Okay, and that goes all the way from the youth level up to the adult level. And what we saw the other day has mixed messages and what that can create and cause. And I'm going to share that with you. Also, I was a 9-year head basketball coach. I'm on here talking about football like crazy all the time. You might say, what the hell does this guy know about football? I may have coached basketball and played basketball, but football has been a lifelong quest for me to be able to one day be able to speak about it like this. So I've studied it my entire life. I understand things through a coaching lens. I've evaluated talent in a sports level. And if you understand how to do it, in basketball, a lot of it is similar in football in terms of characteristics and identifying character and discipline and, all sorts of things like that. They're very, very relative. Also 35 years as an entrepreneur. So I've been, leading, managing, hiring, and coaching and mentoring and guiding people for decades and evaluating people at that level. So you take it all together, you mix it up in a pot, and I have a really good feel for these types of things. Those of you who don't know me, I'm pretty well known for my predictions now, and Shedeur Sanders was kind of what really put me on the map. We started to get on the map last year. We did it with Jaden Daniels, said he'd be the best pick 2 days before the 2024 draft. That's really what started it. Jaden Daniels would be far and away the number one quarterback of the draft, and I think that's pretty clear. So that started it. But the Shedeur Sanders prediction on January 19th, where I said he would be a 5th-round draft pick. It's all on video. Follow us here on X. And then on YouTube, at PB Sports Talk, all the videos, about 440 videos. They're not all Shedeur, thankfully, but there's a lot up there. Same here on X, so you can find all that. So on January 19th, we said that, and we also warned the Cleveland Browns to stay away. They obviously didn't listen. It's been a shit show ever since. It's only getting worse. It's not getting better. The day after the draft, 2 days after the draft, I said Flacco would have probably end up being be the starter. It was Dylan Gabriel's team, and Shedeur would be a clipboard holder, but he would never accept that role. He's not a number 2. He believes he's a number 1. He believes he's the greatest. His father believes he's the greatest. Me personally, I didn't even think he was in the top 4 quarterbacks in college, let alone be the number 1 pick overall like Kiper had. And I drilled Kiper pretty hard on a 4-minute clip. That's up there too. And I explained my opinion on why Kiper stayed so steadfast during the draft, and Reese Davis actually had to make him stop. I explained that all up there. So check it out. It's a really interesting clip, and I think kind of how it all came true. And it's playing out like in real time, like a reality show. And that's how Jason Whitlock discovered me and started following me and realized that I had been nailing it every single step of the way since January 19th. And he reached out to me. I was supposed to be on a show weeks ago, and it ended up being he reached out to me the morning of Charlie Kirk getting murdered. He reached out like at 9:42 and 1:30. That happened, and things got delayed. I was on the show for the first time last Thursday to discuss this, as you can see. And then Monday I was called back and to talk about Dylan Gabriel and the fumbling at the end zone. So that gives you a little bit of background and why, and people are like, so what makes you the authority on it? Well, I don't know if I consider myself an authority on it, but I consider myself as the only one in the world who predicted it because no one did. And so I have a really good feel for what's going on here, and I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. But first, we're going to talk about the Jonathan Gannon incident, and I'm going to play the clip that I had with Jason this past Monday, so 2 days ago, when it was a hot topic right after the Sunday game. And let me share that. I'm from Detroit. I'm going to go to the time and date stamp here, and hopefully it plays for you. And I've gotten through. I'm not hearing it yourself. I promise you, Jonathan Gannon is about control. One moment. Controlling emotions in big moments. All coaches unbelievable. Do. I mean, literally, it's just not been one of them good days. Let me see if I can re-pull that up. Let me remove that, and I will bring it back up here. Hopefully that video didn't get damaged when everything crashed. I don't think it did, but let me try one more time. Changing play. And then it's like, I want to call Barry Sanders. I'm from Detroit originally. I want to call Barry Sanders and have Barry talk to for whatever reason it's not playing. Kind of way. Man, I got to get my shit together. So what I said there was, you don't thank you. I appreciate that. Great job on Whitlock's show. I appreciate that. ETF 42. So what I told Jason is you can't strike a player, and he disagreed with me, and I never got a chance to explain the why to it. And I said on his show that what happens if a player hits a coach? You got to consider that. What happens if he hits him back? You got to consider that. But the time wasn't there to be able to go through all the reasons why. So as a coach, I want to tell you guys this. I am like a type A personality. I'm not a type B. I'm not this unbelievably laid back guy. I mean, I can be, but I'm really, really competitive, right? I played sports my whole life. I was a coach for a long time, aggressive in my teaching, more of the old school type mentality. I wouldn't verbally abuse players, but I would be very verbal and known to be very, very loud, even in my pregame speeches, my halftime speeches, my postgame speeches, moments of discipline. I didn't hesitate. I didn't berate or cuss somebody out. But people push that line, and it's like I would use that verbal approach. Never raised my hands to a player, and I don't believe in that. What we're seeing at the youth levels, and this is part of what drove me out of coaching, folks, wasn't because I wasn't good enough to continue or even kind of go up the ranks higher level in high school and maybe in college, which I had aspirations to do. I got driven out because of the way that the young people behave today, the way what's happening with parents, assaulting of referees, assaulting of coaches. Fortunately, I had some pretty good situations where I had the athletic department behind me, and supporting me, where I had to make some tough decisions to rejigger an entire program that was used to doing things this easy approach way. Mine was more aggressive. I needed to get the buy-in to be able to do that. But nevertheless, you can never touch a player for obvious reasons. So let's just go to Jonathan Gannon here. When Jonathan Gannon did it, basically not once but twice, and I don't care if he has padding on, guys. Come on. He's got padding on to play football, not to get hit by anybody. All right? What happens if DeMarcado swung at him? Then what do you got? You have a brawl on the sidelines in London, 70,000 people in attendance. Everyone on the sidelines, two sidelines. People could come out of the stands. It could end up resulting in something so much more. On top of that, you have millions and millions of people across the country and the world, global game, right? Watching this go on. It can escalate and ignite into anything. Like 25, 35, 40 years ago, Dick Butkus, Mike Dick, Woody Hayes, Ohio State, things like that. My people might go, whoa, did you see that? But people would never think of interjecting themselves. I'm not talking about booing as a fan. I'm talking about maybe inserting themselves. Maybe it's a family member for Mercado. Maybe it's a family member for Gannon. Maybe it's somebody on the sidelines who's best friends with Mercado or a fellow coach who can't. And how many times have we seen an assistant coach get into some things? His name escapes me, but Nick Sirianni's bodyguard on the sidelines. He's gotten involved before. Big, someone can hit me on the comments. His name, Italian guy. His name escapes me. Nick, I think, is his first name. It would take just a moment for something to escalate. And let's say Mercado swung on him and knocked Jonathan Gannon out. What do you got? What do you got? Big Dom, thank you. What do you got? You have something that is almost unrecoverable. So while Salisbury, Whitlock, I think, a lot of the other big, Trey Wingo, a lot of the other guys, more my age and older than me, are more of the old school way. And believe me when I tell you, I don't agree with the trophy world we live in. I don't agree with, this easy street. It's a massive problem in society. It's one of the main reasons why we have a lot of the struggle we have today, in my opinion. It's not just life. It's happening in business. It's happening in sports. It's all together. All of them merge with one another. So believe me, I understand the discipline part of it, but we need to understand and recognize what it is right now. Get in his face, the verbal part of it. And he could have went on with it. You saw Bill O'Brien and Tom Brady do this before. You've seen Travis Kelce and Andy Reid bump. It's not hard to chest bump or belly bump Andy Reid. You've seen that, on at least 2 occasions, maybe 3. I don't even have a problem with that. No one raised their hands. That, I believe, is within the game. That's like, are you kidding me? Get me involved in the game. Or, from Reed's perspective, are you kidding me? Hold on to the ball. Run the pattern right. Communicate, whatever it may be. I got that. That I get. You cannot punch. Basically, he punched him in the gut twice. Like if once wasn't enough. So guys and gals, because there's a lot of women starting to follow me as well. It's like it's all it takes. And then what do you have throughout the league? Then it becomes accepted if you don't come down harshly on it. And I don't know if $100,000 moves the needle for Jonathan Gannon. I really don't. It's more symbolic probably than anything. Not that $100,000 is not a lot of money. Boy, I would love $100,000 right now. It's probably more symbolic and sends a message that it's not okay. And here's what we're going to do if it happens again. But if it wasn't, and it was just allowed, you might see it happen more on other teams. And you're seeing it more and more with guys confront coaches. Justin Jefferson did it a couple of weeks, and Justin seems like a great guy and a really level-headed guy. I'm not accusing of him of anything, but in that moment, man, emotions raging. And anybody who knows who Bruce Pearl is, he was somebody that I always studied. I used a couple of his phrases in coaching. Bruce is an intense guy. Bruce is loud. Bruce sweats through 3 shirts a game, and he just retired. That's kind of how I was, not quite to the degree that he was, but I'd be sweating like that. I'd be yelling like that. You're wearing every single play on your sleeve. Every one is a make or break. When I was coaching and the crowds would get loud and everybody's up, that's one thing. When you're in Cardinal Stadium there, State Farm, I think it is, State Farm Stadium, and you got 60, 70,000 fans going crazy. Key moment of the game. DeMercado goes, 73, 74 yards, touchdown. It's like, holy shit. And then you do something dumb. I'll tell you what I told Whitlock. I'm from Detroit. You see the Detroit stuff behind me. Just relocated to Florida 7 months ago. 53 I am. So basically 53 years of my life in Michigan, 19 years in Detroit, the rest in the suburb. I'm Lions through and through. That'll be that way forever. I'll never take a Florida team over Detroit. Everybody knows Barry Sanders used to run in the end zone and hand the ball to the referee. It's like, I want to figure out a way to get a hold of Barry Sanders and have him do a freaking orientation with the league. It's like, treat the goal line like the tape in track. Run through the freaking tape, I said on Jason's show. Lean forward and track, right? Because you're on the clock, go through the tape. Hello? That's what emotion can do. And I said on Jason's show, when he asked me, the very first words I said was, there's emotion clouding judgment. And he's right. I agree with him. Starting to think about celebrating on the 8-yard line, the 10-yard line. Guys like Deshaun Jackson. I mean, I made the list the other day. Leon Lett, kind of the grandfather. He's the stepfather of it all, right? 1993, Cowboys, I think it was Dolphins, snow game. Deshaun Jackson, DK Metcalf, Jonathan Taylor, Adonai Mitchell, Emari DeMercado the other day. There's been many others. It's happened at the college level. It's like, wake the hell up. Like, you do all that work. You put yourself in a great moment. Third string, second string, first string, it doesn't matter. DeMercado's got a chance now. He'll never be remembered probably for anything else he does. Unfortunately, he'll be remembered for that. I know who he is because I've been a big fantasy player over the years, and he's had spot duty before. And with John Connor out now, obviously he's getting an opportunity, and they're all busted up there. And a great run, huge moment, probably cost. I mean, there's a lot of things that, and we used to teach this as coaches. We would teach against, that emotion, and you're teaching to hold and control your emotions in the biggest moments like that. And that's about as big as it comes. I don't know if I would say it's just that part of the game that cost them the game. There's generally at least a half a dozen that you could point to, but that's a big one. But you get, Gannon, you can't raise your hands. Mercado in the reverse, you can't raise your hands. Bad stuff. Don't do it. It will signify other things that it's okay. The last thing you want is and here, let me just tell you this here real quick. The Malice at the Palace in Auburn Hills, Michigan, between the Pistons and Pacers in 2004, I was there. I was a sponsor for the Pistons in the Detroit in the Detroit Shock. I was there for that game, and that's all it takes, guys. And Ron Artest, everybody knows the story about Ron Artest and his easy trigger, but that's what it ended up being. And then what did you see? You saw fans come on the court and Jermaine O'Neal and Artest and swinging on guys. That's what can happen. So to my friend, to my friend Jason Whitlock, to my friend Sean Salisbury, that's what we're looking at. You just can't have it. And what if a fan comes onto the field? You know a player's going to defend themselves. You don't know what their intentions are, and they hit a guy and they knock a guy out or they kill a guy. You cannot give them reason to have it happen. I already don't agree, though I used to love it growing up. I understand now how dangerous it is. 70, 80,000 people in a college stadium and you win and everybody storms the field. That's got to stop, man. People have gotten seriously hurt. And I think there's probably been at least one death. But there's probably going to be a lot more if it continues. You can't have it. And there's enough emotion in the stadium. The gambling aspect that's going on now. Man, can you imagine if DeMercado, and somebody just said, I had him on my fantasy team. My heart dropped when I saw the play. Luckily, I won by 0.3 points. That's fantasy. And there's probably a little bit of cash on the line. But DeMercado swings him, gets ejected out of the game. And, there's 3,000 fans that have a bet on whatever. You're going to escalate, man. So I don't think everybody considered this part of it and what alternative effects it can have, but you got to consider that. So that's my thoughts on Gannon. Hopefully it doesn't happen anymore. All right, to the story that just keeps on giving, right? I put this out yesterday, so it's now 19 days, not 20, T-minus 20 days or less, till I get cut or released by the Cleveland Browns. And there you see the Browns on the clock. It was supposed to say cut or traded. I guess I put the same word twice, essentially means the same thing. But I don't think that there's anybody who would be willing to trade him. And by the way, guys and girls, you ever seen a quarterback on the sidelines with a hat on backwards with sunglasses on that's not in concussion protocol? I've been doing this for like a long time, following sports and watching so much, spend way too much on sports in my life, probably. I don't know if I've ever seen it. And it's totally unacceptable, and unacceptable for any player, let alone a quarterback who's trying to be the starter. And he wasn't in concussion protocol, guys. So I put that out yesterday. It's 19 days now. It's ticking. And I'm going to explain to you here why I think that is. So everybody's like going nuts. And oh my God, he's one step away and it's just one play away. And no, it's not. This doesn't change anything. And there's a couple of reasons why. Bailey Zappi is on the practice squad. And I haven't heard this morning if they moved him up to number 3 or they left it alone for now. They'll probably move him to number 3. Zappi is a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. Yes. Bailey Zappi is a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. He would have went to the number 2 spot, but you can't do it because you got to keep things tamped down. You have Dylan Gabriels as the starter now, and I believe he's their franchise quarterback guy. I believe it's what they've been looking for many, many years. There's plenty of videos. I'm not going to go through it all. I've explained it all on Whitlock's show. You can see all those videos on YouTube at PB Sports Talk and here on X at PB Sports Talks. I explain all in detail the reasons why. I answer the 5'11" questions, versus 6'2" and what that means. My co-host, highly decorated, multiple-time All-State quarterback, star in high school, went and broke records in college. 6'5" he is. We talk about it all the time. The nuances of being 5'11", but I also have stated all the reasons why at 5'11", Gabriel might be better equipped because he has to think through the game differently. So check that video out, or videos out. That's not going to change, guys. He's got control of the team. He's got control of the offense. There is only one situation, one scenario where Shedeur Sanders ever steps on the field. Well, two scenarios by which Shedeur Sanders will ever step on the field for the Cleveland Browns. One is catastrophic injury this week, and I knock on some wood, somebody, that doesn't happen for Dylan Gabriel. And Browns fans, you don't want this to happen. Trust me when I tell you, you don't want this to happen. That would be one scenario. And then the second scenario would be in some sort of mop-up duty where the Browns are up 35, and that's probably not going to happen. And it probably wouldn't be because of Dylan Gabriel. It probably would be because of Kevin Stefanski. Yep, true story. So who's lingering, guys? He threw for 4,850-ish yards in 2020 and led the NFL in yardage. Who is that? Deshaun Watson. Who's got a $37 million dead cap hit if they were to cut him? Deshaun Watson. Who's locked up by contract for the next 2 years, including this year? Deshaun Watson. Is Shedeur Sanders better than Deshaun Watson, even after all of his MCLs, PCLs, ACLs, Achilles, all the stuff off the field? Who's better quarterback? Come on, guys. It's still Deshaun Jackson, 100%. And by all accounts, he's looked good in all of the the offseason stuff and the recovery. Again, I say this all the time, like it's regurgitated stuff. Cannot simulate or practice game-like conditions. The speed, the intensity, the movement, the torque on your body, it's all ratcheted up. So you got to see it, right? If you're a Cleveland Brown fan or you're a football fan, NFL fan, are you going to see Shedeur Sanders first, or are you going to see Deshaun Watson first for the Cleveland Browns? If for any reason there was a change out of Gabriel, you're not seeing Shedeur Sanders. The Cleveland Browns are actually in this, folks. Dylan Gabriel gives them the best chance to win. It's not Shedeur Sanders, and it's not Deshaun Watson right now. And that's a tough deal because you can't identify if Deshaun Watson can be any better than Dylan Gabriel, because you'd have to have him, again, in a game-like situation in order to ascertain if he's the guy, like if he has anything left at all to offer. And again, why would you do that? Dylan Gabriel performed very, very well, folks. I don't mean to repeat it all because it's all there, but think about what this guy went through. All the chaos and the big mouth Sanders family, the reality show, the just bullshit that Sanders did last week, which I believe was intentional and deliberate to sabotage Dylan Gabriel's performance. I don't think they like him in the locker room. I don't think people respect it, despite what you might hear from Myles Garrett here or there. What's Myles Garrett going to say? But internally in that locker room, I don't think there's support for Sanders. I really don't. I think there's support for Gabriel. There are people that have said he's running it like he's been running it for 10 years. And again, you got to think about the company line and what somebody would say. They're going to say, he hasn't run it. It looks like a brand new guy. It looks like he's green. Looks like he's got diapers on, whatever. It's like, they're not going to say that. They're going to, unless you're Shedeur Sanders that doesn't know what to say and hasn't figured out or learned what to say. And so last week he mimed it, whatever the hell you call it, where you're lipping it, clowning around as usual. This is who you want. I told Whitlock this. I tell everybody this. You have the person and you have the quarterback. You have the mental side and you have the athletic side. If those two are not at least equal, then you don't have a solid quarterback. And I don't know how many examples we need to have of that. This is like stained in my brain. Jeff George, Jim McMahon had to be held together by the 85 Bears and all the leadership that they had. Art Schlichter, Ryan Leaf, Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield 1.0, Jamarcus Russell. I mean, there's a million examples. You must have the mental clarity, the mental discipline, the ability to lead a team. 11, 53, franchise, the entire building, the city to a degree, the badge for the NFL. He doesn't have it, guys. Even if he comes out, my man John Frashella, find him, does a great job at NFL Frashella, was with Bleacher Report for many, many years. He's got a great thing going. Great film breakdown guy, arrows and all that type of stuff. He sent me the video of the 2 window throws. Yeah, okay. Against 4s and 5s. Okay, you had 4s and 5s on your side, 3 4s and 5s. Okay, fine. But everything showed that he hadn't learned very much, and the tape was so bad. And there were comments, and I know there are rumors and stuff, but I think a lot of people were shocked at how bad he was. You ever see Joe Milton throw the ball? And I know this from being from Michigan. Joe Milton, before he went to Tennessee, was with Michigan, then Tennessee, then with the Patriots, and then with the Cowboys. Everybody's like, give Joe Milton a chance. Give Joe Milton a chance. Give Joe Milton a chance. He can't read a defense. He can't be accurate. He's got a rifle of an arm, can throw the ball 80 yards from any angle. Falling down, he can throw the ball 70 yards. That doesn't make a quarterback. Nor do those two window throws make Shedeur a quarterback and all this bullshit. All about him. The Cleveland Browns made it clear by making Flacco number 2 prior to trading him that they didn't believe in Shedeur Sanders. Whitlock pointed that out astutely, I thought, and I agreed with him. If they believed Shedeur Sanders was number 2, they would have named him then. I don't know. Naming him number 2 versus number 3 didn't send any signals out to make his I'm talking about Flacco, to make Flacco's trade value be any less. It makes Cincinnati want him any less. Cincinnati's got their issues, and they're looking for somebody that can do better than Browning. So whether you named Flacco at 2 or you named him at 3, it wouldn't have affected that, I don't believe. So why didn't you name Shedeur Sanders as number 2 at that time? You're looking for signals, right? You're looking for identifying factors to be able to get a feel for what's going on in the room. You would never throw more fluid on an already emotional dude who can't shut up. You wouldn't do that. And then all the media, I know the Browns do some crazy things, but at some point, I think you're realizing, don't fan the flame. Why would you move him to 3? Now, the natural thing to do is to move him to 2, keep him quiet. You know what's coming. But yet I see all over X yesterday, I saw it. No one thought about it overnight and kind of slept on it and kind of pulled back from that. They're doubling and tripling down. Now, there's some guys that are looking for clicks. I get it. But there's also NFL people, former players. You're not, Stephen A. Smith, throw him aside because he'll say anything for clicks. Skip Bayless, he'll really say anything for clicks. He'll just say things to say things, like with no assessment or evaluation of the player. Like he still thinks Micah Parsons wasn't going to go be successful anywhere but Dallas. Whatever. That's Skip Bayless. He's made a career off of doing that stuff. And to a large degree, Stephen A. Smith too. They both work hard, got to give them their credit. But some of the things they say is crazy. But you're hearing real NFL guys, Ryan Clark. There's a lot of guys, and Ryan Clark's another one. Man, I don't even want to get into that. Literally, what is that? What do they say? Believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. With Ryan Clark, believe none of what you see and none of what you hear from that guy. But I heard it. I heard it. I went against my better judgment. I heard it. And I've heard others say it. And I just don't see it, guys. I don't see it. And I'm going to go ahead with my track record now since January 19th. I don't see it. Why would you do it? The Browns are in the running. They're very competitive. They have drafted extremely well. I've hit up Andrew Berry a lot in the past, and I know dude's on the frying pan for a lot of people. But man, has he assembled a nice draft. And being, from Detroit and the Lions slappy, I understand obviously very well what Brad Holmes did and Dan Campbell has done in multiple drafts. Guys, to hit on that many players in one draft, that's like holy shit. And they're performing at a high level on both sides of the ball. And only probably because of all of this chaos and the decision-making beyond the draft are the Cleveland Browns in this position. I agree with a lot of people. You should have never started Flacco. You should have started Gabriel. If you don't know me, I made a similar prediction, but in the opposite, on March 12th, that Jackson Dart was the best quarterback in the 2025 NFL draft. I said that. Then the day after the draft, I said, prepare yourselves. If he doesn't start, he will by week 4 or 6. They're going to don't put Russell Wilson in. Then 9 days before the season with my co-host, we were going through Rookie of the Year. And I let out a further prediction. And I'm yelling at Brian Dable as if he's listening to me, right? Do change your mind. Do not start Russell Wilson. Don't play this 3-game, let him come in, ease in, go talk to ownership and ask their permission. Like, you got no balls, Brian Dable? Like, who's running that team? And you wasted those games. You got to understand who the person is. Jackson Dart can handle that stuff. Extraordinarily well-trained and coached. Same thing with Dylan Gabriel, much the same. Shedeur Sanders wasn't. Sorry, he wasn't prepared. It was 2 different situations. It was all about Ring of Honor and the fist and the this and the that, the media, all of that. Shedeur Sanders is not the kind of guy ready for that moment and probably will never be ready for that moment. But Dylan Gabriel was, and Jackson Dart was. I further said Jackson Dart would be Rookie of the Year. And this is 9 days before the season. As we did our Rookie of the Year, I said, he will be the Rookie of the Year. And, my co-host looked at me. He's like, did you forget he's not starting? I said, it's inside of 6 weeks, and I think it's likely less. And it was. Now, he didn't have the best performance the other day, and he's going to have moments of struggle, but I still hold him as my rookie of the year. And much the same, Dillon Gabriel is in full command. It was vanilla. Look at what he did. London, first game. Body clock, crazy. Drama every day with the Sanders bullshit. Playing a good Minnesota Vikings team against arguably the most complex blitzing scheme coach and unit in the NFL. Brian Flores got that on lock. He's all about the complex system. Vanilla game plan. And they were in a position to win that game. I don't, say whatever you want about Carson Wentz, and I'm on record speaking highly of J.J. McCarthy too. I'm going to save that for another day. That's all up there as well. It's still the Minnesota Vikings with weapons all over the field, and you gave yourself a chance to win, and Stefanski basically got in the way of that happening. Let the guy go. When I mean let the guy go, I'm talking about Dillon Gabriel. Let him go. He will be fine. This dude is so smart, so sharp, can process the field. Boom, 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 boom. In one of my videos, it's like 2 chess moves ahead with him. Part of that, and you can see the video, is because he's 5'11" and not 6'2", 3, 4, 5, he must be 2 steps ahead. He has had to train himself his entire playing career because of the deficiencies or the challenges that his lack of height presents to him. A lot like Breeze. Breeze had to change his arm angle. He almost used to step like on his tippy toes to get that ball over. Lots of guys, Russell Wilson, other guys that weren't the tallest guy in the room had a lot of success because they had to figure out how to do it a little bit different than, say, my co-host who talks about, man, you walk up to the line at 6'5". Yeah, there might be some 6'3" linemen, but it's like I could see over everything. Dillon's got to wait for those guys almost to go down in their stance. Then he's viewing everything. And Luke did a great job explaining that. That's on one of our previous shows. Check that out. And it's labeled as such. So Dillon Gabriel's going to be fine. He's not going to give up the job. It would have to be taken away from him either by injury or by a dumbass move by Stefanski. Why would you go to Shedeur Sanders in this moment? Forget Watson for a moment. Why would you do it? Oh, he's going to be in by week 10 or week 12. Why? How? That's because you don't believe in Dillon Gabriel. You haven't been paying attention. And I have nothing against Shedeur Sanders personally, other than the fact that I was a coach and I coached against these things. You can never put yourself before a team. You can never be me and not we. You never could play that way with me. You wouldn't make the team. And if you did make the team, you didn't play. It's just that simple. Now, I know it's the NFL and it's about careers and it's about money and it's about, winning and all of that stuff, but I don't believe he gives you the best chance to win. Not now, not in 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 7 weeks, even if he improves a little bit. I don't see it. His value to the Cleveland Browns is off the team. Yeah, I know that sounds weird, but he has no value to the Cleveland Browns. He's a liability to the Cleveland Browns because of all the baggage, the luggage. He shuts up sometimes for a week, but then they cannot keep it past that. You saw Deion be interviewed yesterday. I don't give a shit or whatever he said about the Cleveland Browns. I care about the Colorado Buffaloes. Why do you think he responded that way? It's pretty obvious. I don't give a shit about the Cleveland Browns tells you he's upset with the Cleveland Browns. But he stopped it like he always does. He'll stop it. He'll stay quiet, button it up for a little bit, and then something will happen that will force. So let's say Dillon Gabriel goes out and has a bad game this Sunday. Can you imagine? 2 weeks ago, Shedeur Sanders said, I watch around the league and some of these guys, I know I'm better than that. Who says that? You don't feel that way. Good. You should feel that you want to play. Like Mac Jones, we put his clip up. That's how you handle it. You don't think Mac wants to play so freaking bad before even that great game? Then after that great game, this is Brock Purdy's job. I'm here to support him. They brought me in to be a backup. Hello. That's what you say. It's how you say it. Even if you think something differently. Because there's a whole bunch of other people in that room, and Brock Purdy hasn't done anything to lose his job. And I'm not necessarily a big Brock Purdy guy. This is basic common sense, but people sometimes what's right in front of them, they don't want to see. Because the flash and the back and forth and all of that, or what somebody might say, or a Stephen A. Smith or a Ryan Clark, a Booger McFarland, whoever it happens to be, they get kind of caught up in that. And then you get the other guys that are like, man, Rex Ryan, get your ass in the film room, unfold your arms, all that type of stuff. What the guy did last week was intentional. And as long as Shedeur Sanders is around the Cleveland Browns, he will do, and his father, in a combination, they will do everything to sabotage it. And as I also predicted on Shedeur that he'd be out of the NFL in 3 years, because I don't believe he will ever accept a backup role. And I don't think he's good enough to be a starter. He's not good enough to be ahead of, somebody like a Geno Smith. Oh, the Raiders trade him. Tom Brady's not trading for him. Tom Brady's a dude who worked him out and saw what he needed to see. And I'm not going to accuse Tom, but I think it's kind of like connect the dots. That a lot of word probably got to Brady, or from Brady to the league about what he saw. I mean, he was on a podcast with Dion before the season. It's like, tell your son to stop talking about Rolls Royces and get in the film room. This was widely known. Dable saw it. Other people who saw it. I don't want to be a backup to Lamar Jackson. And I don't like Lamar Jackson as a quarterback. But, dude, if you think you're better than Lamar Jackson, get lost. I don't want to be back. Well, let me rephrase that. He thinks that he's going to be a backup because I'm not going to have a chance to play, so don't draft me, Baltimore. Okay, I got it. But dude thinks he's better than everybody and talks about it, and I don't think he is. So I think by mid-next week, you're probably going to get an announcement that Deshaun Watson has been cleared, and he's not going to come in and maybe for a week or two, put him at 3, but I just on the status and on the longevity in the league and the fact that he's paid what he's paid and he's been the starter for Cleveland. When he's medically cleared, I would assume the depth chart will be Gabriel, Watson, and Sanders for a moment, but then I think it's going to be Zappe, and I think they're going to move on from Sanders by the deadline. But I got the countdown as 19 days. There's no benefit, nothing to gain, everything to lose by having him on your roster. And if for some reason he got on the field in non-mop-up duty, you're going to see it, guys. This guy's not ready to play at this level. I don't think he ever was. I think he was coddled by his dad. I think he was entitled by his dad. I think we saw so much evidence of him playing the college game very poorly, despite what Mel Kiper says, despite what all those guys say. And I think he was aided by people like Jimmy Horn and Travis Hunter and LaShante Webster and others, and running around and running 15 yards backwards. And it's go run to the car down go under, down to the street light, and I'll hit you with a pass. That's what it is. That's what it was. That doesn't work. That doesn't work in the NFL, because if it did, people like Joe Milton would be starting. It just doesn't happen. So everybody chill the hell out. This changes nothing at all. Dillon Gabriel, I will say it again, is the franchise quarterback for the Cleveland Browns that they have been looking for decades. He possesses all the tools, the intangibles, the leadership. They'll go in a foxhole wherever he goes. Everything about Dillon Gabriel is a winner, and he's been trained at two of the most incredible college football universities on the map. Oklahoma, not a long time. I got it. Or Oregon, not a long time. And also Oklahoma, 3 colleges. But those two stand out. And his year with Dan Lanning, my gosh, I think that helped him a ton. Give the guy a chance. Watch what he does. And if you don't think that Dillon Gabriel has a fire inside him at 5'11", trust me, I watched the guy like a ton. He has it. And he has the perfect level. Like, he's not too high, he's not too low, but he can get fired up. Don't be fooled. He can get fired up. He's the guy. Get ready to watch it on display this weekend. All right, guys. Our show is normally 10 a.m. on Saturdays. We got a special time this week. We're going from 7 p.m. to about 8:30 Friday night. There's a couple of reasons why we're doing it, a scheduling conflict, and we want to do a test here a little bit with our audience if Friday works better than Saturday mornings. So 7 p.m. live here on X, live on YouTube, live on Facebook. Guys, girls, we are so close. Like, I'm relatively new at this. We just had our 53rd show. This will be our 54th show week. This is new, but we're starting to gain some followers now. We're starting to gain some traction, and we're not monetizing yet. So followers is very, very big to that end. As of going on to the show, we had 820 subscribers on YouTube. 1,000 is a really important milestone. Anyone that knows anything about YouTube, that's really important. That really helps our show. If you have not subscribed, please do. And when you do, please share it with somebody. I'm going to continue to come straight to you guys. No one controls what I say or what Luke says. We're going to give it to you straight. It's not about race. The ESPN bullshit and disgrace that network has become, and the programming that they make these people say is beyond disgusting. What I grew up watching and loving and wanting to be on. This is a dream come true for me, and I'm really glad I didn't end up at ESPN. I'm really glad, and I wish some of those guys over there that are big names. I wish that these guys would take a stand for the people like Sage Steele and Samantha Ponder and others that have been railroaded right out. And Paul Feinbaum, who I'm not a very big fan of, it's not good. And the whole Disney thing, it's just not good. And it's really unfortunate. So we're going to bust our ass for you. We're going to try to give you things that other people can't. There's a lot of guys out there that do all the diagrams and stuff, and that's great. John's great at it. Chase Daniels, Orlovsky. There's so many guys that do a really, really good job. That's not for us. I'm going to focus more on the mental side. I can tell statistics and encyclopedia data and metrics and all that type of stuff, but we're going to give it to you through a different lens. Luke being quarterback, a very successful player, me being a successful head coach and running organizations and understanding how franchises think too, guys. A lot of people will say, why would they do this? Why would they do that? I don't understand. I feel like I have something of value to add there and to lend there to kind of help some of the perspective. Like, as an example, Mercado, every single coach at every single level, unless you're sleeping, coaches against those types of things, tries to get everybody on the same page to understand. Don't let the emotions come before, or you as a me guy, or as a, just that moment where you want to celebrate, don't let it ever come into the performance to where it jeopardizes your fellow man next to you. Like I told Jason, the Lions, and check out what I said about Dan Campbell, the culture. No one wants to let Jared Goff down. I promise you, no one will do that, because it all starts and ends with a quarterback. Believe it or not, it really does. No one wants to let Jaden Daniels down. Justin Herbert, no one wants to let him down. No one wants to let Pat Mahomes down. Nobody wants to let these guys down because they believe in them so much. You got a guy like Kyler Murray, they don't really think about it. Shedeur Sanders, they wouldn't really think about it. And there are others. I won't name more names, but there are others. That's kind of where it starts. Emotion can still get you past that moment. You can do a screw up. But there's an internal policing that goes on where everybody holds each other accountable before it ever gets to a coach. The Lions are a phenomenal example of that. They don't want to disappoint ownership. They don't want to disappoint the Chris Spielmans and the guys who are on the upper level. They don't want to disappoint Brad Holmes, who gave them the opportunity. They don't want to disappoint Dan Campbell, who's given them an opportunity to win at the highest level in their lives. They don't want to disappoint their O&D coordinators and their special teams coaches and things like that. And they don't want to disappoint the man next to them. They don't want to be the reason that they lost. They want to be the reason that they have helped you win, helped you be competitive, helped you fight back, had your back at any time. And the moment you do dumb shit, like a Shedeur Sanders, and you make it about you and all this type of stuff, give me an effing break. I'm getting fired up as I'm going to go out the door here. So everybody, again, remember the show this week is on Friday night, 7 to 8:30, not Saturday morning. If you have not followed us, please do on X at PB Sports Talks, and with an S on the end. Tom Brady just answered an interview question about this, not disappointing the people he works with. Yeah, there you go. Who's that guy on my screen, on my sign behind me, kind of front and center? There's a reason why. Here real quick, let me just end it with this. and I've talked about this ad nauseum. Do you think that Tom Brady was the most athletic guy to ever play? He's one of the most unathletic guys to ever play. Ever see his picture with his shirt off at the combine? Droopy, shoulders down. Everybody knows he couldn't run very fast. Everybody knows he didn't have the strongest arm in the room. What did he have? Same thing with Peyton Manning. What did Peyton Manning have? Same thing with Drew Brees. What did Drew Brees have? Same thing with Phillip Rivers. What did Phillip Rivers have? You see where I'm going with this? So, the Joe Miltons who could throw the ball 80 yards like a rocket ship, you don't have this. You don't have the ability to read and diagnose and rip apart coverage and change at the line. If anybody does not believe that Kevin Stefanski, for all the faults he may have and what you might feel about him, if you don't think, first of all, if you saw the golf clap, they didn't want him. This was Jimmy Haslam signing off. Sorry, they didn't want him. Because if you're excited about getting a steal in the 5th round, that's not people who are excited about a steal in the 5th round. That's people who are like, oh shit, our job just became harder. You don't need to be like a smart person to understand that. You get a steal in the 5th round, people go freaking nuts because you're putting so much into it. If he slides, if he falls, whatever you want to call it, and we nab him, you go crazy. They were instructed to do that. And Jimmy Haslam was in that picture. How about them apples? So, Tom Brady, damn straight. Drew Brees, they will all tell you it. You cannot have the attitude of Shedeur Sanders playing. A million living, breathing examples in the past, including Baker Mayfield 2.0. Look at him now. I live in Northeast Ohio. They didn't want Sanders. Yeah, I got it. I know. I saw it. So it will get worse. I mean, the writing's on the wall. It will get worse. You gave up a 5th round pick to get him. You salvaged one with Flacco. Take it and run. It's like you're at a blackjack table and whatever number you play with, you win $100. If that's your level, take the 100, walk away. Stay. It's going to get worse. Take your L. We made a mistake. We shouldn't have did it. Cut him. Walk away. And you can't lose what you don't put in the middle. You put this guy around this team, he will bring it down like an anchor. It's in his makeup. You cannot be a certain way for 22, 3 years, whatever it is, and be so to the extreme of that level and change it around in 3 months. Doesn't work that way. It's like repetition of throwing a ball or hitting a golf shot. And what happens when, by the way, any golfers out there, what happens with the greatest golfers in the world? And I'm not saying you got to be Vijay Singh. For those of you who know Vijay Singh, was 2,000 ball minimum hitter on the range per day, every day, whether he played in a round or not. 2,000 shots. Why are you doing that? Muscle memory, right? You're mastering your shot, right? Well, you got to do that mentally too. And you got to study and you got to want it. He doesn't have it. So nothing's changed. Final time. Dylan Gabriel won in about a week to 2. Dylan Gabriel 1. Deshaun Watson 2. Bailey Zappi 3. Sanders either gets cut or released. All right, guys. Have a great Wednesday. Keep an eye on the developments. Anything new happens, I will jump on. Everybody have a great day and enjoy the rest of your week. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye now.